Слышите вы?
What?
Welcome back to the Summer of Sci-Fi, hosted by the Arkham Sessions podcast. My name is Brian Ward. Joining me, as always, the psychologist to the superheroes, superheroines, and supervillains of Gotham City, and now space. She's Dr. Drea Letamendi. Hello, Drea.
Hi, Brian.
Welcome back. We're doing another watch along. This time of 1972's Solaris, a Russian film from the director Andrei Tarkovsky. I need to know, because of what this movie is about, what do you know about this film already?
I know that it's been remade with George Clooney, and I have seen that version, but it's been 20 years. I'm just going to say 20 years for any movie I've ever seen and have forgotten about.
Right.
I don't remember anything. I will say that I believe I remember a twist at the end, and I can't remember. There's a big twist, and I'm not able to remember who it is that's a ghost or imagined or a hallucination, but there is some psychological twist at the end. So I'm just going to put that out there. That's what I remember.
Okay, so do you remember, and I can't remember the Clooney one enough to say that it's a one-to-one translation, but this film, our lead character is a psychologist.
I don't know if that's true for the George. I'm sure it's true for the George Clooney one, but I don't remember. I do feel like this movie is meant to be a test of astronauts' psychological limits. That's what I sort of feel is associated with this sci-fi film.
Okay.
Like, with 2001, we talked about being slow-paced. It's an immersive, atmospheric, a limited dialogue kind of movie, and it's known for that. I almost feel like Solaris is known to be a very cerebral, like thoughtful, I'm hoping there's a lot there to talk about, but I don't remember it being action-packed and full of adventure, full of space explosions or anything like that. I think it's mostly
It's very much
mental.
not any of that. In fact, one of the biggest criticisms when it was released in 72 is that it has a very slow, deliberate pace.
Oh no, another slow movie.
And no blow 'em ups in this one. In fact, you mentioned in our last episode when we talked about 2001: A Space Odyssey, you mentioned that that the movies that we have selected for our Summer of Sci-Fi have a little bit of a connective thread.
Yeah.
I'm not 1,000% sure I know what you meant by that specifically, but I will say this. Solaris was 72, which means it was after 1968's 2001: A Space Odyssey. The director, Andrei Tarkovsky, specifically wanted to make a very deep, emotional, meaningful science fiction film. When Kubrick made 2001: A Space Odyssey, he very specifically wanted to make a good science fiction film because, again, you're talking about a time period where most science fiction was spaceships on wires. It looked very cheesy.
All the serials.
Yeah. It was not good. You're looking at Flash Gordon types.
Yep.
Not great. And so Kubrick decided, I want to make a great science fiction film. And I think we can agree he did so. Tarkovsky actually did not like movies like 2001. Tarkovsky believed that too many films of Kubrick's era, and including 2001, they spent too much time focusing on technological advances, i.e. the HAL 9000. Mm-hmm. He didn't want that for this film. He specifically wanted an emotionally grounded film that was really all about the people. And so that is what you're going to see. This film was nominated for the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, which is the grand prize. It's the Best Picture prize at Cannes. It did win the special grand jury prize at that festival. So this film is considered a big deal, and it's only grown in popularity since its original release. Very divided at the time. A lot of people thought it was just slow. I'm warning you. But if you're willing to give yourself over to it, everyone promises that you're going to love it. I've seen this film a handful of times. I know that it was released most recently on Blu-ray by Criterion, I believe. I know I had that at one point. I may still have it, may not. But it's been a little while since I've actually sat down and watched it. It is a trek. It is 2 hours, 45 minutes. Yikes. So it is even longer than 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay. Well.
And just as exciting.
I've got my popcorn and my lemonade and my notepad. So let's get started.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so
Dre, this crawl is about as fast as this movie's going to get.
I was going to say that I am a big fan of captions, or I guess subtitles is the more accurate word. So that element may keep me really focused on this film.
Yeah.
Well, there's parts.
Part one.
Yikes. Thank God it's in color.
Well, there are sequences that are a little more monochromatic, sort of a bluish tint.
I thought it was in black and white.
Oh, you thought it was going to be in black and white? You were afraid?
I'm not so much afraid. I just wanted to make sure it could capture my attention for 2:47. I already just want to acknowledge that we're starting the film with what feels like a natural environment on Earth. Mm-hmm. Now, remember with 2001, we started within the first few minutes of the film, a child was speaking with an adult, a parent, and I felt like that was...
By the way, that was like 30 minutes into the film.
Yeah, when something actually started happening.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was meant to present us with like origins and this naive tone, that this kind of like humans are, that's the one of the first presentations. Now, this is really giving us a like nature's theme here.
Yeah. So one thing you might note, especially given Tarkovsky's desire to make a meaningful science fiction film, he actually really didn't like science fiction. He thought that it was a little too tropey, a little too comic booky in most iterations. So he wasn't really a fan at all. And in fact, this is easily his most recognizable movie outside of the Soviet Union. And I believe in an interview, he once said it was his least favorite film that he'd ever made because of the genre.
Крис, иди сюда. И очень кстати. Он хотел убежать, когда меня...
Oh. Get out of the way. It's like just some extra.
Он понимает, что все будет зависеть от его первого сообщения со станции. Экипаж передает все время непонятные, путанные данные.
So I mentioned that this was probably his least favorite of his films. The author of the book, Stanislav Lem, hated this incarnation of the... This is actually the second time that the film was that the book was adapted. The first time was apparently a significantly more true to the book. Whereas, as I mentioned, Tarkovsky really wanted to make something artistic and independent of science fiction. And so he tried to add a lot to this. I guess it would equate to Stephen King genuinely hating Kubrick's version of The Shining. he would not be allowed in the house.
No.
На 21-й день высадки нашей экспедиции радиобиолог Вишняков и физик Фехнер проводили исследовательский полет над океаном Соляриса на глиссере, который передвигается на воздушной подушке. Когда через 16 часов они не вернулись, мы вынуждены были объявить тревогу. На станцию вернулись все спасательные аппараты. Не было только грузового вертолета, на котором вылетел пилот Анри Бертон. Выбравшись из вертолета, он бросился бежать. Он был в состоянии нервного шока. Через 2 дня он поправился, но больше ни разу не выходил из космолета и старался не подходить к окну, из которого был виден океан.
Отлично. Вот пусть он сам обо всем и расскажет.
Все внимание
We're in our,
сосредоточено на управлении.
our Oppenheimer phase.
В результате я против своего желания попал в туман.
Это был самый обыкновенный туман?
Конечно, нет.
Is Solaris a planet or a station?
В этот момент я заметил перемену в состоянии океана.
There we go.
Время от времени я включал кинокамеру.
Oh, he captured this on film. We're about to see like a Studio Ghibli film.
In what way?
Just the ocean opens up and turns into molasses, and all these beings are
Got it.
created.
So we're going into a Spirited Away, Boy in the Heron type world. I see. Got it.
Wait, we're already watching. I'm sorry. The Inception is on like 100. So we're watching a film. Now they're watching a film in the film.
Yes. So these ocean sequences, this was shot with a solution made of like aluminum powder and acetone and dye. This not meant to look Earth-like at all.
Который, как теперь известно, является не только гигантским мозгом, что ли, но и субстанцией, способной мыслить.
What?
Это весьма сомнительно.
Okay.
I mean, aren't hypotheses supposed to be questionable?
Yes.
That's why we put them through the tests.
So they're starting to wonder if he's either hallucinating this or he's ill in some way,
В одной из отверстий
physically
я обнаружил
ill, potentially,
плавающий предмет.
to have come up
Мне
with
показалось,
these
что это-
visions.
В этот момент фигура слегка приподнялась. Этот человек, он был без комбинезона и двигался. Это был ребенок.
A space baby.
Another space baby.
Может быть, вы нездоровы?
Once again, this can't be real. This reminds me of Jodie Foster's character in Contact, where she had thought she filmed the interaction with the alien, and when she got out of the extra dimension she was in, no one believed her because there was no footage of it.
Like how last time you said, this reminds me of Contact.
Everything's going to be reminding me of Contact.
Everything comes back to Contact.
I don't know if that makes me feel like Contact is a better movie or just derivative of all these earlier movies.
Right.
But Contact is probably like one of my top 5 favorite sci-fi movies.
I thought it was easily in your top 2. That and The Abyss.
And Close Encounters.
Oh,
Those,
and
those
Close
are probably the
Encounters.
top 3.
All right.
Наторного комплекса, вызванного влиянием атмосферы планеты симптомами помрачения, которым способствовало возбуждение ассоциативных зон коры головного мозга.
Я придерживаюсь на этот счет иного мнения. И мне бы не хотелось, чтобы на наше решение оказал влияние тот факт, что мы опираемся на наблюдения человека безо всякой ученой степени.
Back when science meant something.
Что значит сообщенные мною сведения почти ничему не соответствуют?
Почти ничему означает, что какие-то реальные явления все же могли вызвать ваши галлюцинации, Бертон. Во время ветреной погоды. Не мудрено спутать качающийся куст.
Now, technically, when you see something that's not there in an existing object, that's called an illusion, not a hallucination. A hallucination is when you see something that is not there or hear something that is not there. Did you get a sense of how long ago it was that they were, that they had him on trial in that way?
I mean, it was years ago. He looks significantly older now.
Поймите меня правильно. Мне кажется, что соляристика зашла в тупик именно в результате безответственного фантазирования.
So solaristics in the context of the film is it's their research of the ocean on Solaris,
And Solaris is what?
a planet.
Okay, so Solaris is a planet, and they're on Earth studying Solaris.
Yes and no. They're taking data and stuff from trips to Solaris to study it.
And they've acknowledged that at least the ocean or some kind of climate thing on Solaris
Like
has its
there
own
are comments
consciousness.
here about how knowledge is neither moral nor immoral. It's a human. But that's really what solaristics is all about, and it's really what this movie is all about. It's basically about humanity's drive and need to know everything about things that they don't know anything about, and Solaris represents a just completely alien, foreign thing that humans can't quite get a handle on.
Well, I'll say this, for a space movie, there's so little space going on.
What are you talking about? Look at all that space. That's a big backyard.
Что я должен сказать? Таких, как ты, опасно пускать в космос. Там все чересчур хрупко. Да вот именно хрупко! Земля уж кое-как приспособилась к таким, как ты, хотя это и стоило ей черти каких жертв. Ты что, ревнуешь его к тому, что он меня похоронит, а не ты?
Like how the conversation just kind of ended. It's just no response whatsoever.
Была высказана уже вовсе смелая гипотеза, предполагавшая, что океан является мыслящей субстанцией.
So see, they're suggesting that the ocean itself might be sentient and projecting things.
Сейчас на этой колоссальной станции, рассчитанной на 85 человек, работают всего трое. Это астробиолог Сарториус, кибернетик Снаут.
Snout.
Гибарян занимается на станции проблемой соотнесения.
Я звоню из города.
Huh? What? Was that like a FaceTime call? It just interrupts whatever
Yeah, just-
program you're watching?
This is call waiting on your TV.
You didn't even accept it. He just pops in.
Оказалось, что тот оставил сиротой сына. И я своими глазами видел малыша. А то, что ребенок этот ничем не отличался от того, которого я видел тогда.
Why didn't he tell this to people? Okay.
Drea, this traffic is about as action-packed as it gets.
So, yeah, I think this adds on to the runtime of the film. I'm trying to understand how this adds to the story. Except the screeching is really unnerving.
Maybe it's just the mundane. These are all the sights and sounds on Earth. Chris is about to leave. It's like they're taking us across town in real time. I feel like I'm playing Grand Theft Auto.
Finally, back to nature.
Back to quiet. Completely still. Nothing going on. That was the hustle and bustle.
Yeah, maybe we're meant to sort of feel a sense of not only busyness, but disorientation and the unnatural environment of the city.
So I'm curious, you chose this one from 1972 over something like, say, Alien, which is a top tier film for you. Was it the excitement to explore something new?
Yes, I've seen Alien so many times. I know that's another film from the that's 79.
Yeah.
So it would have fit the criteria, but I did want to see something that I'd not seen before.
Yeah.
Is she allowed to ask questions now? No.
She's not even allowed outside.
Go back inside.
Go back in.
The men are burning things and talking about solaristics. Go back inside. Oh, please discover something in these papers. It's turning into a Nine Inch Nails music video. For a director who didn't want to be like a Kubrick and to be more grounded, I guess, there's still a lot of like artistic shots and choices here.
I guess the difference is Kubrick would have required 67 takes of that piece of paper burning, and this guy only had enough film for one.
Like the amount of shots of this man just staring, like we get it.
He's taking it all in.
And then the horse coming by.
No one caring that it's just out and about, free ranging in the backyard.
I've never wanted to go to space so much. Like, get me into dark space.
Do something. Anything. Here we go.
Okay. So that's the station.
Mm-hmm.
And they're overlooking, they're like in the atmosphere of the Solaris planet.
Mm-hmm. Their whole purpose is to observe the ocean, which is what they were saying earlier, is that solaristics is declining. It's degrading because they're not actually researching anything. They've just been relegated to watching it.
Эй, где вы все?
He's dressed so street. Like that wasn't a spacesuit. That wasn't like a space issued uniform.
Oh, well, cool.
He's just like dressed like an industrial.
This is also the Soviet Union in 1972. So, we're not building you a cosmonaut outfit. Just take your leather jacket, your blue jeans, t-shirt.
So you mentioned when we watched 2001, that was before the moon landing, and this is now after the moon landing, but also during the space race.
Mm-hmm.
How did all of that impact either the way this movie was made or received?
I don't know that that's something Tarkovsky was even remotely considering, because he wanted to do something so different from what had already been out there, and because he openly admitted that he didn't care for 2001, I don't think he was going for anything that was particularly realistic or anything that would show the world what's actually going on in space. So now they're listening to German. Oh, Snout must be German.
Snout. Look at his shirt. It looks like a fishnet shirt. Like this looks so...
I mean, look, it's also
industrial
very...
punk.
If this were orange, that could be Corbin Dallas's little t-shirt in The Fifth Element.
Ну, что с вами?
Now, when you introduce yourself as a psychologist, you never want that reaction.
But isn't that the reaction you always get?
A lot of times.
Сарториус у себя. Гибарян умер. Самоубийство.
Oh, shoot.
Я знал Гибаряна, он никогда бы...
С тех пор, как у нас начались эти беспорядки. Вот что. Отдохните. Примите ванну, занимайте любую комнату и приходите через час.
Я хотел бы повидать Гибаряна, то есть Сарториуса.
Are we not going to acknowledge there's someone in that hammock? It's moving.
I mean, you can acknowledge it, and it will acknowledge you.
Послушайте, теперь нас трое с Сарториусом. Если увидите нечто необычное, Ни меня, ни Сарториуса.
He's unwelcomed.
Что увижу?
So one of the members has ended their own life, according to Snout.
Yep.
Although Snout's, I don't know if
Unreliable
Snout's
at
a
this point?
reliable character here.
And yet Snout is validating everything that was said earlier about seeing things and people that weren't there. And that's exactly what he's saying right now. If you know us, but if you see...
Was that an ear?
That was an ear.
I knew it was a body part. I just couldn't tell. All right. So punk industrial psychologist is sent away.
Yeah, this costume's straight out of Hackers.
I kind of like his... I wasn't picking up on his style over at the Prairie, but... He's like, let me put on my combat boots.
Well, now he's space psychologist.
Yeah,
that was wilderness psychologist.
This isn't too different than what I wear when I'm at work. I'm not even kidding. Like the boots and the jacket.
I mean, that is true.
That is a giant
The
backpack.
netted shirt.
The netted
maybe
shirt.
a little different.
The pants with the...
I mean, you would definitely wear those
the
pants.
industrial belt.
With those stripes going down. They look like straps almost.
So we're starting to look a little bit more like I'm starting to feel more comfortable with this movie. This is what I want to see.
Because now you're looking at a round padded room.
Yes. Then now I'm starting to see something reminiscent of space.
Well,
travel, exploration.
So could I ask you
examination.
this? Is it a coincidence that the room that he has is a round padded white room and he's a psychologist?
I don't know what's up with that. I guess the guy said pick whatever room you want.
Yes,
so
but the one he chose is the one that makes him most comfortable with the rooms
maybe.
in which he's used to doing
I
his
found
work.
it comfortable too. I would pick that room. Okay, so this is the room of the man who reportedly has ended his life. Oh my gosh. So he left oh my gosh.
Привет, Крис.
What up?
Я должен кое-что тебе рассказать. И предупредить кое о чем. Я боюсь, что то, что произошло со мной, это только начало. Я в здравом уме, Крис, поверь мне.
Okay. So they're distinguishing between madness and a natural state of mind that would lead to self-harm.
Right.
Madness being my mind is not my own. I have a breakdown versus I still have control of my mind. I am self-determined. I know what I'm doing. I'm aware that I'm ending my life.
How would that differ from in your evaluation when you think about other people who are very aware of the fact that they're going to end their lives?
Most people are. Most people are well aware, cognizant, determined. Those who do attempt to take their life.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of people are not in a state of psychosis. Some are, but the majority of people are not. The majority of people are aware.
So as a psychologist, if you're walking into this situation where you've got another person telling you this isn't madness, is this something that would concern you, or would you just be like, yeah, it rarely is?
No, I mean, it would still concern me because it's in that video. If that were not a video, but a conversation, I would be very concerned about their well-being because a conviction, a determination that this is what they're going to do is very planful. Do they have means? There's the gun. They have means. Do they have intent? They have intent. They just stated it. So it's an imminent threat. It's likely they will act on that. In this situation, it's already happened. Ostensibly, we haven't. Again, Snout. I'm not sure if I believe everything he's saying.
But also, now you're getting a lot more credible evidence that something is going on here.
Yes.
So as a psychologist yourself, you come in, you're of obviously sound mind. What do you start thinking in this moment where you run into a person who tells you that someone you know has completed suicide, then you watch a video with that person telling you why, and that it's not space madness, it's something else. What are you thinking in this moment?
Well, I mean, he's doing what he needs to be doing, which is making observations, looking around. Did he take the gun?
Well, he picked it up. We don't know if he actually.
We
don't know if he's carrying it.
I'm hoping he took the weapon. So he's taking away the lethal means in case there's someone else who's in the situation.
He doesn't appear to have it with him right now.
He put it in one of his many industrial pockets. So he's assessing the environment, the situation, making it safer if he did take the weapon. He's trying to stabilize the situation. However, I would still spend some time speaking with the survivors.
Well, they specifically asked him to come back in an hour.
Then you've got this guy. Has he covered his windows and doors? Is he paranoid? Has he barricaded himself in? Right. So this is what I would do.
Trey, are you aware? Is there an actual space madness?
There's forms of psychological challenges. You mean an actual space flight?
Yeah, or underwater, or just someplace where you're away and alone. And
yes, there are some challenges. You probably know a lot about astronaut training, because I know you love reading up on that. I know when you were a kid, you were interested in becoming an astronaut. But there is an immense amount of behavioral training that happens to avoid what I would consider adverse events, like a suicide. I mean, this is a pretty serious thing that happened. I'm confused. Oh,
don't mind that.
Ваша поза нелепа. Ваше так называемое мужество бесчеловечно. Слышите вы?
What? Who's that?
Never mind.
Come back in an hour. What the hell? Okay, I had other questions, but now I have more questions.
Do you just go away at that moment, or do you start tiptoeing and trying to figure out what's on the other side of the door? You don't want to incite violence. Like, that guy was pretty much, so far they've not been very inviting. They're somewhat cooperative. You don't want to push, and you're stuck with them on a space station. You don't want to make enemies. But it's my understanding that as a psychologist, it's his job to evaluate the astronauts, and that seems to be separate from the solaristic missions, the scientific missions that they're on. I'm not saying the two aren't related. So his job is less about the planet and more about the people on the station. I suppose it's about
the potential impact the planet is having, the tides or the oceans or whatever is having on these people. So it could be connected, but I believe his task is to assess the adverse events and understand who's left and what's going on. And now he's seeing a woman. So is he already being influenced by...
Doesn't take long. I mean, was the little person even there?
I don't know.
Never let a ghost lady lure you into a refrigerator.
Who's this? This is... Now he's got a bandage. Does that mean he's also self-harmed? These are the kinds of questions I would ask this guy.
This place is so messy. You can tell there are definitely 3 old dudes living here.
I don't think this is just the natural state of things. I think things have happened.
Wait till you live with 3 old dudes.
Wow, judgy.
Snout. Кроме нас 3. На станции еще кто-нибудь есть?
Кого вы видели?
Это человек? Она реальна? До нее можно дотронуться? Можно ее ранить, да?
Wait, why do you instantly want to know if you can wound her?
What a weird thing to connect. Is she real? Can I wound her?
Is she real? Can I hurt her?
Maybe that's just a bad translation. Like, maybe he meant, like, is she mortal?
Сумасшедшим я тебя считать не буду. Сумасшедшим? Это было бы избавление.
So Snout has left his quarters and is sleeping in this control room. Like, he's basically shacking up, making the control room his new quarters. So I want to know what happened in his room. These pants are truly a choice.
I am becoming more and more convinced that this was one of the inspirations for the fifth element.
You think? Now, why are we in black and white?
Ведь они думают, что я сошел с ума.
Get out of the shot.
Крис, знай, что это не безумие.
He says that again. He wants to be very clear. Wait, he says it's something to do with his conscience.
So does someone repeating that make you believe them more or less?
More, actually. Yeah, that's about right.
Also from the fifth element, this little plasticky bed.
Falling asleep in a sci-fi movie is very precarious because anything after that could be a dream, a distortion, just some twist that we just need to clock.
So you're saying everything from here on could be a Jacob's ladder situation?
It could be. And what are all of these like latches and straps?
Tell me you wouldn't wear this.
I would.
You'd wear
I
the
want
hell
one.
out of this,
I really want one. Like this could be a Halloween costume. And if someone asked me, I'd say I'm the psychologist from Solaris. So she's a different lady than the one we saw earlier?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's hallucinating here. And he's realizing that he's having a hallucination. Would you just roll with it?
It's the people who are resisting that seem to go into space madness.
Не надо, щекотно. Нет. Там нет.
That's good. You tell yourself they are not there. He's doing the right thing. He's not engaging with the hallucination. There's some more active things you can do, which in therapy is really helpful, can be helpful, which is to do mental manipulation of the hallucination. So try to get it out of context of the environment. Sometimes you can make it look like a cartoon, out of place, out of context, anything you can do to remind your brain that this is not actually happening right now.
Мне кажется, я должна тебя все время. Я веду себя как дура.
Why is her sleeve ripped? Oh, she's been injected with something. A hallucination is usually more disjunctive. You usually wouldn't have the visual, the auditory, the sensation, the tactile. Like this is all coming together a little too real. I mean, I understand we're seeing it like we're seeing it in a movie, but he wouldn't be experiencing it this real. We are just now in part 2.
We are just now in part 2.
There's only 2 parts though, right? I'm afraid that she's going to be following him throughout the rest of the movie.
You say afraid. Why are you afraid of that?
Well, because she's not a member of the crew. She's in his mind.
Ну как?
And this is kind of what I remember from the Clooney version, that it's him and a woman throughout the majority of the movie, like all of the movie. Wait, did he just put her in?
He did.
Okay. I really like him. No, like this, you can't, this is what you gotta do. She's not real.
And yet he's about to fire off a real rocket or something. Like, I like, do you really want to give that up for someone who's clearly not real? Or,
Hopefully there's another reason why. I'll just cover my face.
this rocket, very little ignition, no power whatsoever.
But
Nothing
but look
thrust
where it's
that
going.
rocket up into the sky.
Done. I'm really liking him a lot more. Like, okay, fix that. Gotta get back into my fishnet
if she's
shirt.
not real, why does he believe that putting her in there will get rid of her? By doing that, he is acknowledging that something is real and that it's not a hallucination.
I see what you're saying. Now that was someone he knew because they knew each other's names. Like that memory is someone.
I believe that's his wife.
Okay. I think he knew he had to do something extreme to excise the hallucination from his mind.
That guy's like, did you just launch our only rocket?
Oh, he's burned up.
Тем более, были гости.
Здорово ты за них взялся. А кто приходил?
Она умерла 10 лет тому назад.
То, что ты видел, материализация твоего представления о ней. Все началось после того, как мы провели эксперимент с рентгеном. Воздействовали на поверхность океана сильным пучком рентгеновских лучей. Прозондировал им наши мозги и извлек из них что-то вроде островков памяти.
The Nexus.
Yeah, there's some kind of alien intervention going on.
Ночью это напоминает шорох листьев.
He's like, let me crazy up your room, just like the rest of us.
The real key is to make everything as dirty as possible.
Cut up
Then
some-
your wife definitely won't want to be here.
Leave open tuna cans. Yeah, let's get out of the suit and get back into the fishnet. But that's her sweater.
Mm-hmm.
What is this for? The rustling? What does that do?
It mimics the sound of rustling leaves at night.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so it's
It's supposed to make him,
soothing.
yeah.
It's biophilia.
Say more about that.
Biophilia is just our natural connection to the earth. You know when people say touch grass? That's what they mean. Touch grass, put your feet in the sand, listen to the wind, have your eyes on the ocean, things that are with nature. Humans can have some healing outcomes from interacting with nature. That's what biophilia is. So Snout is kind of being nice.
I mean, Snout was never not being nice. He
Snout
was
was-
just seen as being problematic because he wasn't being forthcoming.
He
But he
wasn't
was
very
like, look, if I had told
cooperative.
you all this before, you'd have thought I was crazy. Like, you need to experience this. Now that you've experienced it, I'm here for you, man.
Oh, she's back. How many rockets do they have? Like how many
That's what I'm
times
saying, man.
can
He just got rid of like the only one.
So you're saying this is his wife and she passed away 10 years ago?
Yes.
So he's just giving into it.
You're going to have to leave now. Take the walk of shame.
Wait. Oh,
Yep.
there
See,
are
there are two.
multiple shawls. Oh, he's getting rid of the first one.
Or the second one.
Okay. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. This is why you don't take the plastic off the bed. Wait. What?
Easy peasy.
What just did she heal?
Yes.
This is a very complicated hallucination.
Я увидел, что тебя нет. Я испугалась.
Что ты сейчас делаешь?
Having a
You don't wanna
freak
know?
out.
At what point do you just give in? Because right now it's only terrifying because he knows it's not real. But at what point do you just go, all right?
Well, he seems to be giving in somewhat. He's trying to erase the remnants and evidence of the first wife or the first clone. He's got to be in a dissonance here because I think he knows that this is all a product of his mind. But it's so compelling and so realistic that he doesn't know how to deal with it. And they're also dealing with an alien intervention. Like, what is the Solaris ocean actually doing to these people? This is beyond like human psychology. This is alien psychology at this point. So so we got to turn this off because I don't know anything about alien psychology. This is beyond my comprehension.
Это моя жена.
Okay.
Насколько мне удалось уяснить, в отличие от нас, сконструированных из атомов, они состоят из нейтрино. У вас превосходный экземпляр.
Это моя жена.
Yeah, at what point in time do they start questioning him because of how easily he has now embraced it?
I don't know that he's easily embraced it. I think he's
Well, he's now referring to her as his
Sure.
wife and introducing her to his colleagues.
he doesn't want her to be disrespected, even though, like, he doesn't want his memory of her to be disrespected.
Эти вскрытия.
Я же сказал, это моя жена. Вы не поняли?
Yeah, see, he's
Okay,
He's full down the rabbit hole now.
What, they lose their funding or something? 2 pieces of equipment in that room. It's really interesting going back to the pilot's story, the guy from the very beginning. He did not land on the station. He just flew over, right? And he was influenced by the tides of this ocean. There were hallucinogenic effects on him. And he did say that the hallucination he had was of someone that he knew.
So, Drea, is this a classic tell me about your mother situation?
I don't know what's going on. I still don't understand who this woman is.
This is
this is
the wife. The other woman, I believe, is his mother. And we were looking at baby Chris and then teenage Chris. And now he's looking at his wife.
Я совсем себя не знаю. Ты себя знаешь?
Как каждый человек.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You are not.
Well, this is a little scary. She seems like she's much more than an image, an idea in his head. Like she has disjointed memories and she's struggling with her identity. And whatever Solaris is bringing back, it has some consciousness, which is kind of sad and scary.
Is it that she has consciousness?
I don't know
Or
yet.
is it just simply that it's feeding off of his?
I don't know.
They also said that they appear to be more constructs of conscience, right? So could be that he feels very guilty for her.
Мы тут с Арториусом думали, коль скоро океан извлекает гостей из нас во время сна, может быть, есть смысл передать ему наши дневные мысли.
Каким образом?
Пучком излучения. Может, он поймет тогда и избавит нас от всех этих появлений.
Энцефалограмма. Запись всех моих мыслей.
Кстати, Сарториус предложил еще один проект. Аннигилятор.
Could we come up with another name for it, though, please?
So the members of the crew who initially were seen as the ones losing it are now coming up with solutions and seem a little bit more like coherent. And he's the one that's now like sweating. He's in a robe. He's disheveled. He's seeing things.
Плохо все это кончится.
He's got to keep it together. Like he's getting very enmeshed with her.
Yeah.
So Solaris is going to manifest a person in your life who's going to have the most impact on your psyche. Unresolved business, trauma, ruptured relationships, passing away unexpectedly, guilt, blame. This is just like a psych experiment. And why would Solaris want to do this to people?
Perhaps they're studying us as much as we're studying
That's what
it.
I'm saying.
Ты не любишь меня.
Перестань, Харри.
Я не Харри. Да Харри умерла. Отравилась.
В последнее время мы часто с ней ссорились. Я собрал вещи и ушел. На 3-й день я все-таки не выдержал и отправился. Когда я пришел, она уже умерла. На руке был след от укола.
Вот этот.
Наверное, чувствовал, что я не любил ее по-настоящему. Тебя люблю.
О, все уже в сборе. Я предлагаю выпить за Снаута. За науку и за Снаута.
Наука. Чепуха. В этой ситуации одинаково беспомощны и посредственность, и гениальность. Мы не знаем, что делать с иными мирами. Нам не нужно других миров. Нам нужно зеркало. Мы бьемся над контактом и никогда не найдем его. Мы в глупом положении человека, рвущегося к цели, которой он боится, которая ему не нужна. Человеку нужен человек.
Snout becomes the smartest person in the room.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to say that he kind of always was. We just didn't know how to take him just yet.
Yeah. Almost like he knew that Chris would eventually succumb to whatever's going on. And so he just needed that to run its course. Like, don't talk to me right now.
Yeah.
What I
Come
would
back in an hour
tell
after
you,
you've experienced some stuff.
right. What I'm about to tell you, you won't get. You have to experience it firsthand.
I mean, he even said, look, there are only 3 of us here. If you see anyone else, don't freak out.
Человек создан природой, чтобы познавать ее.
Oh, I'm
Бесконечно
gonna need that.
двигаясь к истине, человек обречен на познание. Все остальное блажь. Простите, но кроме романа с вашей бывшей женой вас ничего не интересует.
Yeah.
Вы потеряли чувство реальности.
Но мне кажется, что Крис более последователен, чем вы оба. В нечеловеческих условиях он ведет себя по-человечески, а вы делаете вид, что все это вас не касается, и считаете своих гостей, вы, кажется, так нас называете, чем-то внешним, мешающим. Это ваша совесть. А Крис меня любит. Хочет мною живой. Я ненавижу всех вас.
Я попросил бы вас...
Прошу вас, не перебивайте меня, я все-таки женщина.
Да вы не женщина и не человек.
Wow.
А вы только ее повторение.
Я становлюсь человеком. Чувствую нисколько не меньше, чем вы. Я уже могу обходиться без него.
She's becoming more independent.
So what did they do with the other beings? Because they did say they experimented on them and that they drew their blood, and what they found in their blood was not DNA.
Yes. I mean, I'm guessing they've used the annihilator
Oh, that's what you
on
said.
the others.
Yeah.
Я к себе не пойду. Важно не уснуть.
Au, Susanna, das Leben ist nicht schwer. Nach einem toten Bräutigam kommen 1000 neue her.
Also, the song sung by one of the dragons in Flight of the Dragons when he drinks too much mead.
Really?
The English version. And that came out in the 80s, which makes me wonder if that's some kind of weird ode to this movie.
Станция делает маневр. В 17:00 будет 30 секунд невесомости. Не забудь.
Bye.
Oh, I gotta get out of here. I don't do well with weightlessness.
That looks like my college campus. I'm not exaggerating.
Bleak.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Are we still looking at your college campus?
Uh-huh.
Прости, милый, я немного задумалась.
Выпила жидкий кислород.
That'll do it.
Oh my gosh.
Сделала это от отчаяния.
Чем больше она с тобой, тем больше очеловечивается.
Wow.
Что ты намерен делать?
Ждать. пока она не вернется.
Она может жить только здесь, на станции, ты же знаешь. Она явится и всякий раз будет являться. Как не могу привыкнуть ко всем этим воскрешениям.
So they've seen this numerous times.
Yes.
They've become habituated, but this is really disturbing.
Yeah.
So will she have the same memories?
Yes, I believe.
Это я.
Не надо, Харри.
Я не Харри!
Теперь ты не она, а настоящая Харри.
Notice how the swirling is intensifying
Yes.
in the ocean.
So was she saying that she remembers being Hari, but she also feels different?
I think what she's saying is she acknowledges not being Hari. And he's now saying that she is as much Hari as Hari was, and now even more so. She is the real Hari.
Мне страшно.
Every day, this place gets more and more like a frat house.
Кажется, он активизируется. Это твоя энцефалограмма помогла. Кажется, у него жар.
Барян умер не от страха. Он умер от стыда. Стыд. Вот чувство, которое спасет человечество.
I mean, maybe that's what it takes. I'll be right here.
So you're saying this is his mother,
I think so.
and that's his dog, his childhood dog. This feels like an acid trip, but I think this is his mind.
Oh, we are now full blown in the last few minutes of 2001.
Yeah. What if he just had a fever from the first night? So all of this is just a dream.
See, that's what
Remember
you said.
when I said he fell asleep?
It's also why you've not noticed nighttime.
Yeah. So his room is becoming more reminiscent of his home.
Which could be what's been happening on the rest
Snell?
of the ship.
Как ты доехал?
Ничего. Устал.
And this is somewhat like dementia
In what way?
in the memories and objects and conversations, the disjointed moment to moment.
Every time I leave the room, I just got to touch this horn real quick.
Ты счастлив?
Ну, сейчас это понятие как-то неуместно. Я очень одинок сейчас.
Зачем ты нас обижаешь? Чего ты ждал? Почему не звонил? Неухоженный, грязный весь.
Ну, как дела? Все в порядке?
Где?
Yeah, about that.
Congratulations. You made it through the big experiment. You never left Earth.
You just got here 10 minutes ago.
You just woke up from your nap.
Крис, ужасно, что пришлось тебя обмануть. Но иначе нельзя было. Я сама попросила об этом. Никого не обвиняй. Как? Как все это? Аннигиляция. Вспышка света и ветер.
В последнее время у нас с ней не ладилось. Да что он нас так мучает?
Знаешь, по-моему, мы древним оно было доступнее. Они бы никогда не спросили, за что, зачем. Да, после того, как мы послали ему твою энцефалограмму, никто из гостей больше не возвращается. Да и с океаном начали происходить какие-то непонятные вещи. На поверхности стали образовываться острова.
So they transmitted his brainwaves at the ocean, and since then, the visitors have stopped coming.
У нас появилась надежда.
They transmitted his brainwaves to the ocean?
Yeah, like toward Solaris.
А сколько тебе лет?
52, что ли.
Snout's only 52?
I guess so.
Oh gosh. Solaris be aging these poor people.
Different time.
Когда человек счастлив, смысл жизни и прочие вечные темы его редко интересуют. То не следует
Oh.
вдаваться.
А когда наступит этот конец? Мы же не знаем. Вот и торопимся.
Самые счастливые люди — те, кто никогда не интересовался этими проклятыми вопросами.
Вопрос — это всегда желание познать. А для сохранения простых человеческих истин, смерти, любви, а думать об этом все равно, что знать день своей смерти. Незнание этого дня практически делает нас бессмертными. Во всяком случае, миссия моя окончена. А что дальше? Вернуться на Землю? Понемногу все войдет в норму, даже возникнут новые интересы, знакомства. Но я не смогу отдаться им до конца. Никогда. Остаться здесь. Во имя чего? Ради надежды на ее возвращение? Единственное, что мне остается — ждать.
Ты не устал?
Нет. Я прекрасно себя чувствую.
По-моему, тебе пора возвращаться на Землю.
Ты так думаешь?
Him looking around. This is going to be another 15 minutes.
I think we're meant to see the waters so calm. Why? Well, I don't understand what's happening. Like, things are kind of out of place. Is he not actually home? No, he's home. He's
What?
home? He's home. It's like some things are eerily not quite all normal.
There
What?
you go. There
What?
you go.
What? This is not what I thought was going to happen. I'm so confused. Oh my God. What? Wow.
Okay, so that was 1972's Solaris. You seemed a little befuddled by the
Surprised?
ending.
I did not think, I thought that the ending was going to be him returning home, having this appreciation for life. We ended on such thoughtful ideas about what he had learned while he was on the station, which has a lot to do with grief processing. You can't go back. You can't, even if someone who you've lost is back in your life in this fantastical way, in this alien intervention, in this almost nonsensical way, it starts to make sense. Your brain starts to feel closeness. That part I understood. I love that he's a psychologist. Even a psychologist with all of their logic and their understanding of the human mind could still be susceptible to this alien intervention and succumb to this altered reality, because emotions are so powerful and grief is so powerful. So I had thought that when we got to the end, and this really did feel like a long Russian novel. Like I felt like I was reading a novel.
Yeah.
And in a way that was really, like, I thought this film was so good. I understand it's almost 3 hours long. I can feel at some points just so slow, but I think it's just meant to give you all these different feelings and process, like those moments where there's no dialogue and you're just kind of like staring into the water. I think you're supposed to be processing what's going on, and I think that emulates what grief is like. There's moments where it's turbulent, there's moments where it's slow and quiet, and I thought that he and Snout had come to this realization that this alien intervention had a lot to do with unresolved grief.
Yes.
And sort of reconciling.
Which is sort of
mind.
too what they were saying, where it's like it's more of a construct of the conscience than anything else.
Right. And then once, almost like a fever dream, once once the fever breaks, you get to a point where you're somewhat at peace, and it's sobering, and it's like a learning moment, and you grow and you heal. And I thought he was going to return home and be somewhat appreciative of his simple life. And no, he's like living out on Solaris's, like he's on an island.
Well, so I'm curious, what about him being bedridden and saying those things where he was like, do I go home? If I do, I'll have more memories or new memories. I'll have new friends. I'll have new acquaintances. I might have a new love, but I'll never be able to give myself over to her 100%. Or do I stay here?
I guess my question for you though is, does he know he's there?
Yes.
So he knows.
I think he made the conscious decision that there's nothing to go back home to. Because remember, even the relationship that he had in the beginning with his father was not particularly good. And then he gets the opportunity to embrace him now. His father even made the comment, what are you feeling jealous because he's the one who gets to bury me instead of you? I think they knew that by the time he got home, his father wouldn't be alive anyway.
Okay.
So I don't think, I think this gave him the opportunity to reconcile with his father in the same way that he got to reconcile with his wife, just in a different, in a different setting. This is sort of the catharsis he needed. Versus, that of his wife or his father.
It does have an ending that centers loss, disillusionment, and kind of giving up. I think like this to me isn't a happy ending. Are you interpreting it as a happy ending?
Yeah, to some degree. I think it's as happy as it can be. If he goes home, he is going to live the rest of his life miserable.
So he's
I don't think he is prepared for a good quality of life when he returns to Earth. I think he understands that staying here is his best chance at getting the peace that his conscience has always wanted or needed.
He's willingly living in a simulation or a fantasy.
And by the way, this is something you and I have discussed before.
It's like the Star Trek Nexus. We absolutely have discussed this a couple of times, and we've wondered what choices we would make if you could be in kind of like a blissful ignorance, or choose the stark, grim, and like terminal realities.
And I think ultimately, eventually, he will convince himself that this is home. Like,
but
right
as
now,
it showed us, I think so. Here's my understanding of it. If it showed us a home that looked a little bit more realistic,
mm-hmm.
like it meant to tell us that there were some things tilted a little bit off to, like, the fact that, you know, it had an eeriness to it. Dad was standing under pouring water, which is not something any human would do. It did not feel human to me. It did not feel comfortable to me.
Yeah.
But I guess this is the closest we're going to get. There may always be, and he also was he also had a look on his face initially of, like, I don't know, disgust, shock, like a reminder that this is not real.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of gave in to the fantasy.
Or just a reminder that this is Dad. Oh, Dad. I mean, it could have been either.
I don't know. But then why wasn't Hari there?
I don't think Hari can be there. I think...
Okay.
I think once so they used the Annihilator on her, right?
So it's like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Like, they've taken her out of... He remembers her, but he no longer can see her in this version.
He no longer needs her, I think, is
right?
ultimately...
Like Eternal... Okay. She chose to...
end her life again.
Yes. And she chose to do it permanently,
Mm-hmm.
but in a way where he is no longer feeling haunted by her.
Correct.
And is that Solaris wrapping that up and healing that? Or is that him really healing from... I got confused with that.
I think it's both. I mean, I think that the entity was in fact becoming more human. I think that the entity was sort of becoming more her, and let's not forget, she did suicide. And so
Sure.
This is her doing it again because this is sort of what she's meant to do. I think. I mean, she's basically still a recreation
Right.
of a person who
Right.
really did this.
She, even if she's not the original Hari, this woman, for one reason or another, struggles from some kind of disturbance, some kind of sense of suffering. And she has ended her life. The real Hari ended her life. And these versions of her also ended their life.
Yeah. But I think too, it has a little bit to do with when he explained, she by the end realized that he didn't love her the way that she loved him. And
Right.
now I think he loves her now. I mean, he says, and I didn't until now. Like he's coming to terms with the fact that I really loved her more than I thought I did even at the time.
Yeah.
And that he's been feeling guilty about that for the rest of his life up to this point.
So now I'm seeing what you're saying, which is that the guilt is what all of this was him in a very, like, real life simulated way. He was able to work through, process, and understand his guilt.
Yeah.
To the point where he grew to appreciate and love her even more.
Yes.
And then grew and appreciated her loss.
Yes.
Like that she truly is gone. It was like a full cycle of denial. No, she's really here, but it's someone else.
Yeah.
Fine, I'm just going to be in this delusion with this.
Yep.
And then toward the end, experiencing a sense of closure.
Yes.
But what baffled me was then the closure led to now I'm going to choose to live in another delusion on Solaris.
But I think Solaris knows that he needs the closure with his father now.
So is this just yet another chapter of a delusion that he will then process and go through, and then can he go home?
I don't think he wants to. Again, this is giving him the opportunities that he'll never get on Earth. And I think he has resigned himself to the idea that he doesn't need new acquaintances. He doesn't need new friends. He understands that he will never be able, like he said, he will never be able to give himself over to those people 100% on Earth. This is now something else. And
the fact that he did have a very realistic dream of his mother tending to him and cleaning his wounds, I mean, practically bathing him. And that was such a touching moment. Yeah.
But now it could be that he saw the Hari construct as a maternal figure for him.
Right. A very Freudian, this idea that you'll be reenacting and situating yourself in your partners with dynamics and models from your parents. So that's that I could see. I had a number of thoughts ready to go, and then the ending just kind of blew my mind. Really, that ending. And I love science fiction movies like this. And don't get me wrong, I love science fiction that's like, action adventure and horror and you're really just out of breath because something's running after you. But this was like a science fiction of the mind. That we didn't see a lot. We didn't really see any space travel. Like we saw a little tiny glimpse, very low budget space travel. Most of what we saw were human interactions trying to explain the unexplainable.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what, like I said, I think that's what the movie's about.
Yes.
I think that's what the solaristics was about, was humans desperately trying to understand what is impossible for us to understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, a couple things. It did have a Wizard of Oz feel to it to me, like Dorothy leaving home, and then you've got the Tin Man and all these characters, and Snout, whoever he's supposed to be, alongside on this psychological adventure that really is about human connection. Mm-hmm. and what is home, what is comfort, what is a trusting relationship, what do you consider psychologically healing to you. Yeah. And yet I still loved the twist and the sharp turn and kind of taking you into places where you didn't expect them to. Him sending her in the rocket, her ending her life, the final ending, which really shocked me. There's just elements of this where, again, I sort of felt like I was reading a science fiction movie. Yeah. A couple of things that I do want to talk about, which, this film starts out by suggesting that being on this space station in and of itself, or perhaps with interaction with Solaris, creates something called space madness. And you asked me, is space madness really a thing? Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because I know that a lot of times when we think about it, we agree that isolation causes a sense of loneliness, causes a sense of separation. You start to lose your sense of self. You and I have talked about what it's like to be in sensory deprivation spaces, mm-hmm. And isolation spaces, like some inmates are put into in prison. But it's interesting because in space, it's not isolation so much as it's the opposite. It's lack of privacy. You're usually in these very narrow and small spaces with a number of other people. Mm-hmm. And it's lack of privacy and being in close proximity to other people that is challenging psychologically, not so much the isolation nowadays, right? Like in today's kind of space world. Of course, there's very intense and heavy workloads. There's long periods of time where you're separated from your loved ones. But now we've combated that with communication and ways to send messages, and that's not so much an issue. So it really isn't the kind of like space madness we see in science fiction where someone starts to hallucinate and hear things and see things and have these severe mental breakdowns where their reality or they're out of touch with reality.
Right.
But nonetheless, all of us are susceptible to mental illness if given the environment, is our genetic predisposition, our experiences. So there's a tremendous amount of behavioral health prevention and behavioral health training that goes into space preparation, especially for astronauts. And they go through training, they all get psych tested and they go through training around social behaviors and communication. It's really about not so much like be prepared to have hallucinations. It's more like this is training, psychological readiness, performance readiness. What do you need to do to be in those, not just to be in those conditions, but to thrive in those conditions for long periods of time. So they have continuous health assessments. They're asked to perform self-assessments routinely. So they're doing a lot of self-monitoring. There's a lot of like teamwork exercises. And so there's a lot of eyes on you. The likelihood that you'll descend into some kind of episode is low because a lot of people are relying on you and they're tracking your behaviors, and it's possible to detect something that could later down the road be a concern.
Right.
But we're human, and I think this movie raises a lot of ideas around what happens when our experiences cause these existential questions that have us wondering about, do I even want to be on Earth anymore?
Yeah.
And those are very hard and heavy thoughts to have.
Or the way that I like to think about it, to what lengths would I go to reconcile the unreconcilable or the irreconcilable?
What do you mean by that? Like,
he had to go to another planet to come to terms with his relationships in his past. It's not so much, do I even want to be on Earth? It's to what distance would I go to make this all right again?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And we didn't even realize that this man had, was struggling and was haunted by.
I think we did
so much. I didn't.
In retrospect, I think we do because of all of those pensive moments out in the yard. I just thought he was a
typical psychologist.
Yeah.
It's not to say that psychologists don't have difficult pasts and traumas and unresolved ruptures in our relationships. Like, we're just as susceptible to those things, and we're not well all the time.
Sure. But but I know you, and I know you very well. If I look out the window and I see you just standing looking out over a lake with your hands in your pockets and just slowly moving back and forth, and I'm going to think there's something wrong.
I just thought he was like an older Russian man.
That's
just what.
He was, right?
What they're wont to do. But yes, over the course of the film, I felt like he was kind of a mystery box. I knew more about other characters. He didn't have a lot of dialogue. He just was so pensive and thoughtful, but he didn't seem happy.
Right.
I think that now looking back, I'm realizing this man did not seem fulfilled.
Yeah.
And this journey has him kind of in this space therapy. Like he's going through how to strengthen and reconcile these relationships in his life. And it sounds like he needs to do this before he dies. There are these monologues at the end, or dialogue at the end, where he and Snout are considering why Solaris is forcing them to face their unresolved issues. And they're realizing that space travel and space exploration really isn't about the other. It's not about what will we discover about the other. It's about what are we discovering about ourselves.
Yeah.
It's so centered around the human experience. And I thought that was really powerful. Like there was so much about the mirror. There are lots of mirrors and glass throughout the film.
Which, by the way, a nightmare for cinematographers.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
In this particular case, they built a room of mirrors and hid the cameras behind them so they could see through and not be seen.
Wow.
Yeah. So I want to ask you too about the other two, Snout and whatever the other guy's name is.
Yeah.
Neither of them got the opportunity that he did to embrace his past and his guilt and his conscience and all of that. Instead, they took the more logical approach of these aren't real. These need to be eliminated, and experimented on. And she even said, at the birthday dinner scene, I hate all of you because this is what you do. You refuse to actually take that moment to embrace your past, the drama that you've had in your life. You refuse to correct it or make it right. Instead, you blame others, or you point fingers at something that's new or unknown. You experiment on that thing. Whereas he, the psychologist, for better or worse, whether he meant to or not, embraced those things. And in the end, while you might see it as sort of a depressing ending, he's the one putting in the work with this new planet. The planet is almost his therapist.
Yeah. Well, I'll say a couple things. I mean, true. The others, according to Hari, the others have been avoiding, externalizing, blaming, intellectualizing, othering, and I think that's how they deal with this. I don't want to put blame on that, like that's wrong or that's not correct or that's not the way to do it. And there was one line later in the film where when Hari dies after the second time and is resurrected, it's so traumatic. Yeah. And that scene isn't, they didn't pull punches. They really kept us on that moment. Her coming back after what felt like someone coming back from a suicide attempt and survived it. Yeah. It was just so graphic, emotionally, visually. She's gasping for air. She's so disoriented. She's like, is this really life? Is this my life? It was very hard to watch. And one of the guys, I think it was Snout, had said, I've seen this too many times. Yeah. Which makes me wonder that, we're following the psychologist through his journey. We don't know how many times the other two have been through similar things. And it's possible that they've had some similar level of trauma with their past persons.
Well, and Snout
past
even
bonds.
Snout makes a reference at did you throw the inkwell the way that Martin did, and he's making a direct reference to Martin Luther, the father of the Protestant church, where it was said that Martin Luther threw his inkwell across the room at the devil. And so, yeah, they're definitely looking at the being in the room with them as more of a malevolent temptress.
And there was a Faust reference too.
There was a Faust reference as well, yeah.
Yeah. I do, yes, and it's possible that they. I like what you said about this. I think that makes this feel much more contained, like much more of a story, while the other men attempted to engage with the hallucinations, found ways to work with it, experimented. They had a very kind of logical, intellectual way to approach it, but had some willingness. Ultimately, they rejected it. They hesitated, they resisted, and they had this explanation for it. Like, eventually it's your fever will break, it'll all go away, just kind of, you gotta go through the motions. And the psychologist is the only person, and I agree with you on this, that says, you know what? When you have a full awareness of what's actually going on, these memories, how difficult they are, the grief, how intense it is, I'm still going to experience it.
Yeah.
I'm still going to work my way through understanding myself and acknowledging and honoring these memories and honoring these people. Like, the very beginning of the movie, these women, we saw here and there women who were such like side characters.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, you're like, wow, he's actually honoring them. I wish there were more women who were not phasic non-beings.
Yeah.
Like, I wish there were full-fledged women in this, but at the same time, I felt there was a sense of he was coming to a better understanding of how important these relationships were to him.
Yes.
And maybe you're right. Maybe choosing to stay on Solaris and repairing the relationship with his father, however strange that might be because it's not real, is what he needed before.
It's that line of
the end his
dialogue
life.
that he has where he says, you know, fear's not going to save the world. Perhaps shame is what will save the world. And I that's sort of a bleak thought, but if you feel shame, then there's some empathy there.
Sure.
There is an understanding that something you did was wrong and you need to account for that. And maybe it is possible that actually what would save the world is if we all just felt a little worse about some of the things that we've done in our past, and have would drive us to fix it.
It sparks the things we talked about in 2001, the movie we covered before this movie. That shame sparks self-introspection.
Yes.
Self-awareness.
Yes.
And self-determination. What do I do now? What is in my control so that I can move forward and become, become a more advanced version of myself.
Yeah.
So I like that. I mean, you're always good at helping me understand the ending of these movies because I'm still in shook by this one, especially. Both movies we just watched. The ending is just like a lot.
Yeah.
I do want to mention something else that does tie this movie to 2001, and it has to kind of do with what makes a human. And I think while maybe not the main point of this story, I do think the story is about grief resolution. And I'll say, like, I remember we actually covered a Clayface episode that is kind of similar to this. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Where there's a being, there's a character, there's a person.
The little girl.
Yeah, who is a piece of Clayface's consciousness. She's actually a physical piece as well.
Yeah.
But this physical manifestation of this psychologist in Solaris, this physical manifestation of his deceased wife has, over time, grown a capacity for self-awareness, for having her own memories, for even being able to capture and remember things from his consciousness. And the other two men tell him, like, of course she's a figment of your imagination. She's a product of you. Of course she's going to seem so real to you. But then she starts to say things like, I'm starting to change. I feel more like I'm human.
Yeah.
That thing that you mentioned, the individuation, this idea of becoming your own independent person. And that started to kind of scare me a little bit. Like, when we eliminate her, that it became an ethical thing for me. Like in the same way that when we eliminate HAL 9000 and HAL 9000 says, you know, I feel it going dark. I feel my memories going. I'm afraid. In the same way, I felt a sense of like, who are we to exterminate this person?
But I will say that the guilt that you feel over that, the sort of the ethical question, I think is put to rest because in her note she says, I'm the one who asked them to do this. When she says, like,
Right.
I went to the doctors and I said, kill me because this is what's going to be best for him. So it's not like the doctors, you know, tied her up.
Oh, no. Yeah,
And, you know,
no.
like they didn't just do it. She took her own agency because and I think that's the part of the whole like individuality or the.
But that's my whole point is that she's saying she has agency enough to.
She couldn't not be with him in the beginning. She was so. She threw herself through a metal door because she couldn't be away from him. And then as she grew, she was like, I can be away from him now. I can, like, I am growing as a human. I am becoming more my own person.
Right.
And then
even
that's
more
when she's
so-
like, not only can I be away from him, I'm going to ask you to take me away from him permanently.
Right. And in that scene with everyone in Snout's room in a very academic space with books and maps and all these like educational relics, this woman stands up and says, hold on, let me talk. Like, y'all have been talking about me and my existence. Let me say something. And I feel like that is where she kind of peaked. Like, that's where her agency came in, her self-awareness came in, her ideas, her sense of self.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful. And it started, obviously I know that she's not a real person, but I think it did what it was supposed to do for us, which is to force us to think about, but what makes a person? Can a person, if you are existing in someone's memory and, you know, there's a risk, there's the fear, and this was said in this movie, like, what if I don't remember that person? What if I don't remember their face?
Yeah.
Do they really go away? And I think this is obviously not about identifying her as an existing live person, but honoring the person who she was by asking us to see her in this like real way. And I just think it's incredible. I think this movie is way smarter than I am, honestly. Like, I'm ready to go read multiple essays and podcast. I listen to podcasts. Like, I just want to know more about it.
Tarkovsky said that this was his least favorite of his films. It was his third movie. And really one of the things that he disliked about it so much was the need for it to be science fiction. You know, like he thought that the trappings of sci-fi, that having a rocket available, having a space station available, having an alien planet, like he thought
you don't need those things to examine this topic.
That it all got in the way of telling this very important story about humanity.
Okay.
And now it leads me to think it's almost like what the movie he wanted to make was Field of Dreams. Because Field of Dreams is very much the same ending, the catharsis needed to put that guilt and shame away, to embrace what you pushed away earlier in your life.
You can tell this story with a number of different environments.
But it's still grounded. It's still on Earth. Like,
I mean,
that's
and I
like I feel
applaud
like
it.
that's what he felt like he needed to make.
Sure. And I applaud it because yet you don't need all of the accoutrements of space travel and
Yeah, you don't have to shove her into a rocket to get through
you don't
the idea.
need all of that, but I do. I want.
Yes.
I think as an audience person who enjoys science fiction and who's seeing elements in like previous works of science fiction in this movie, and also seeing how this influenced other movies that I really like that came out, in the 90s and the 2000s. I really appreciate the science fiction of this movie. I wouldn't have watched this movie if it wasn't, if it didn't have it's science fiction. But you know what I say about when we watch a movie, and usually I'll say this about sci-fi horror, or a movie that claims to be science fiction, but it's actually adventure, it's actually drama, it's actually something else. I tend to like it less, but this is a situation where this is sci-fi drama and it's done really well. And I think in juxtaposition to 2001, which I think in a way is also sci-fi drama, there's ways in which it disentangled it and shackled itself from the science fiction elements of it and showed us like that's not as important. You're not going to see expensive special effects. You're not going to see, these wide shots of ships flying by. But you're going to see a lot of closeness of human exploration, human discovery, human loss. Like this is really what that's about, and it foregrounded that really well. This truly has become one of my favorite science fiction movies. I'm really curious to see how the Clooney one now plays out. I'm guessing it's probably not as good because it's a remake. But
yeah, it did not do well at the box office, and is sort of. I mean, it's Steven Soderbergh, who's a talented filmmaker. Yeah. No doubt about that. But it was not as widely touted as this movie has become over the years. Yeah. So this is great. Like you genuinely enjoyed this movie. And you know what? I will say for 2 hours and 45 minutes, and just never ending shots. By the way, I did, during the movie, I went and I actually looked for a second just to see if there was any information on those shots, of the pilot driving back and why they were so long.
They left the camera on.
No. So here is the sort of overwhelming speculation about this. So those scenes were actually filmed in Osaka and Tokyo. Apparently, the plan was to film futuristic structures at the World Expo in 1970, but that trip was delayed. So they didn't have, so this was clearly supposed to take place further into the future, but that was not available to them. And apparently foreign travel was not easily approved by the Soviet Union government, who had to finance or approve the making of this movie. And the reason this long scene was left in the movie was probably to justify that trip for the director and the crew.
Okay.
So it's like, look at all the footage we got. Look at this scene. look at it.
At the expense of the length of the movie.
So it's odds are that it was left in not for artistic purposes. Now I don't see any sort of footnote for that in terms of where that information came from, but it does seem like a pretty good speculative thought. So. Yeah, it's likely they had to justify the trip to Japan to the Russian government. All right. Well, that was the 1970s. So we've seen something from the 60s. We've seen something from the 70s. That means we got to go into the 80s next. Drea, why don't you tell the good folks what we're going to cover in our next episode?
We are going back to the future. I confess, I've never seen the first Back to the Future film. Now I know what it is. I've seen parts of it. It's been on TV. When I was a kid, it was on TV. I never went to the theater to see it. And of course, I know how this movie goes. and I've seen enough of it here and there.
To understand what it is. Like, it's basically like you've seen it.
Sure.
Even though you haven't.
And I've listened to a lot of podcasts and I watch YouTube about, like, I know what the story is. I feel like I've seen it. But the reality is, no, I've never sat down and from beginning to end have seen the entire movie. And I'll say more about this at the next episode, but I don't care for it. I've never cared for it.
I know.
I've always felt kind of like a strangeness that so many people love it and that I never grew to have any feelings. I don't dislike, I'm not like hating towards it. I just don't have any feelings. I'm very numb toward it. So I would like to see it from the perspective of a psychologist. You know, how does this play out from the psychology perspective? And, you know, is it entertaining? So that's going to be our next movie.
Yay. I'm excited. Any opportunity. Well, until next time, why don't you tell the good folks where they can find you online?
You can find me on my website, drdreapsychology.com, and on socials at Dr. Dre's Psychology.
You can find me. I am at Instagram, mostly at B_Ward028. You can find us both on Instagram at The Arkham Sessions. Email us, arkhamsessions@gmail.com. Be sure to follow our family over at Fanbase Press. Join us on Facebook, join us on Discord, and join us on Patreon. You can find us patreon.com/Arkham Sessions. Lots of tiers there, and those things are changing. For instance, I'm just going to give you a little tidbit here. More of these videos are going to become accessible to everyone. It's not going to be a tier thing, and that is also going to transfer over to YouTube. We are going to start doing a lot more video on YouTube. So be sure to come over to Patreon. Check us out. There's a lot more to reveal about those things I just said that we have not quite hashed out yet, but we're working on it. And by the time we start our next season, you're going to see it all in full effect. Just give us a couple of weeks. Until next time, I'm Brian Ward.
I'm Dr. Drea Letamendi.
Oh, and together we are
The Arkham Sessions.